even if we're a bit awkward, it's fine. It's the first time. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if they know that we're just two average Joes just jumping on and trying to do a podcast, I'm not going to be going like, I can't believe you said that word.
The what word?
Like saying or something.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's,
There's going to be plenty of ums.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to learn to, like, speak loud and clear.
Yeah.
Which is going to make it feel more unauthentic in a way.
I'm trying not to take your chair too much from that.
Whoa.
Just careful.
Don't
mate.
break the third wall. All right.
Yeah.
So, we're starting the podcast. As of today, episode 1. Why are we doing this? No, why are we doing
You're
this?
asking me. I just kind of rocked up.
No, so we're all right. Episode 1
of the hard-hitting podcast.
of the hard-hitting podcast, which is, I reckon that's what we stick with. I like it.
I like that name. I like that name too. Like, it actually is going to suit kind of stuff we're going to talk about,
Yes.
which is going to be a bit more on the serious side. Like, of course, we're going to be casual.
It's going to be both. It's going to be like one
both, yeah.
extreme and one other.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be like, you're not going to be too settled when you're listening to us talking. That's for sure.
Yes.
We could be going full serious, then all of a sudden, me or Andy will just throw a joke in there. So,
Yes.
But I will introduce ourselves. I'm Liam.
I'm Andy. We've probably been mates for a couple of years now.
Couple years now. Well, I mean, it's probably longer since high school, but
Yeah.
well, I guess official mates because I never actually liked him too much. So.
And we've got a weird, we've got a weird sense of humor, and that's what we're really testing out here, I believe. Like, we're hoping that we're not the only ones with this type of humor.
Unique sense of humor.
Yes, but we're also very interested in how the world's going. Like, we catch up a lot, and we talk up a lot. See, this is where it's going to catch up.
That's stuff you got to work now.
Yeah, we got to work that out.
You got to work on that shit, man.
Mhm.
Like, don't let that happen again. No, but seriously. But it's kind of stuff like we literally like. I'd have days when I'm just like, shit, I need to catch up with Andy because I just want to talk about this random theory I saw online about. It could be do anything. It could be like, this new brain neuro chip
Yeah.
that they've installed in someone's mind. It's increased their sensory motor movements by 10%, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, that's so strange. Now I talk to Andy about it. We just have fat chat. It's weird. It's weird.
And we're hoping that other people
Could at least put up with it.
yeah, other people put up with it. I do think we do it often in public places. So we would catch up and we'll have a chat in a public place. And I definitely, looking around, I definitely notice we get a weird look every now and then. Like, we'll go to gym.
Oh no, that's
what we did. We did no gym work.
We tried.
Yeah, we would rock up to a gym and just talk.
But hang on, paint the picture a bit better. We rocked up fully motivated for gym in the car.
Fully is a stretch. Like, I would only rock up for the chat. We were paying how much a month? We're paying, it's 44.
No, it went up to 46.
Yeah, 46.
Still paying
$100 a month.
So around $100 a month. Hey, but we had some good chats. So.
Yes.
And
if it wasn't for that, I doubt we'd be here today making an episode 1 on a podcast.
And you're probably wondering, what the fuck are we going to talk about? Because that is our issue. We tend to go off the path.
Yes, we nearly just did.
We almost just did. So we start talking about gym for Christ's sake.
Yeah, so we're about 3, 4, 5 minutes in, Mac, and we're already deviating, but that's fine.
Yeah.
You should expect that.
Yeah, you'll get used to us. You'll get used to us.
Yeah.
Maybe. Probably not. Anyway.
It'll be easier when we're famous.
Yeah.
See, that we're also a bit of a dreamer when it comes to things.
And no, I'd say I'm modest.
You're realistic?
Andy's a bit of a dreamer, but I'm realistic. Like, I see this popping off, like, straight away.
How long would you give it?
Oh, at least a couple hours.
Couple hours post the upload?
Oh, even before the upload.
So before we even make any content,
people are going to be...
No, we're swarming. No. We're doing this regardless of the views.
Yeah, that's
more
right.
about the money. Like, I don't mind if we only get a couple views, but we're not making...
Or a couple thousand.
We're not making bank at the end of this. There's got to be money in the podcast.
Yeah, like, but we're not taking risks at all. Like, all we did was quit our jobs.
You quit your job?
Absolutely. I actually did.
You did. That's completely unrelated.
Yeah, that's unrelated. It's not because of this.
It's just a coincidence.
Lucky you can't see me winky and Andy.
Yes. Right. Because we are called the hard hitters because despite our joking
Hard
mentality,
hitting, remember? Hard hitting,
yeah,
hard hitting.
I knew that. Besides our joking mentality, we do want to tackle some big issues.
We really do. Like, that's actually like something that is really rare. We find, at least in this day and age, is people don't want to talk about these more serious issues because it just makes, well, I guess, uncomfortable.
Yes.
It's against the social norm of beliefs. Like,
Yes.
so
And I think podcasts, particularly, they're the only ones the only sphere where people are actually trying to address these things.
yeah,
But even then, I find so many people bite their tongue.
yeah, I
And
agree.
I'm like,
I agree.
I'm like at the point where I'm like, let's just talk about it.
That's right. Yeah,
Because shit be fucked up in a lot of ways. When it comes to society type things.
Like, yeah, and we're not going to say like we're coming out here and we're just going to start like throwing beliefs at you and like this is all taken with a grain of salt. Like the things we talk about, it's open to criticism, of course. Like we're not spitting facts out here. No.
And we're like a bunch of lunkheads in a weird way.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're pretty switched on, but we're not.
I am. I'm switched on. Yeah,
I'm pretty like next level. I don't even know what that means.
That's how next level you are.
That's how next level I am.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Should we give them like an idea of how old we are? We're 23 from Australia.
We're both 23. You're from Australia.
What else?
Should I give my home address too, or?
Yeah, I'll save that for episode 2.
Yeah,
because then they have to watch episode 2.
That's a good point. Yeah, and I won't. So I'm only going to give half my credit card details today. Then you have to wait till the next episode for the other half.
Yeah, and I'm only.
We're going to get so many views off that.
Yes, I'm going to put mine out of order, and you have to work it out. That's it.
But like genuinely though, all jokes aside, we aren't making this for money purposes or really views.
Yes.
Well, we aren't. Like,
no, we're literally. I looked at it this way, and this is me being like optimistic, way too optimistic. Imagine we don't get any views ever, but we do 100 episodes, and we're like 50, 60, 70 years old. Like, we've got that recorded, we've got that set in stone in a weird way. You can just look back on it. You can go back and you can go. That's why I'm all for, because like we're not the only blokes who thought, wow, it's a good idea to do a podcast.
Yeah, we're not the revolutionary.
It's definitely not our great idea. But I would advocate it for most people. I don't see why people couldn't just catch up once a fortnight, whatever it be, have a conversation and record it. With the technology we have now,
it's so easy.
It's so easy. I think it's that societal thing. Especially, like, I'm not going to tell people we do a podcast, because again, especially if we do 100 episodes and we get 1,000 accumulated views, I'm not going to be like, yeah, once a week I podcast.
No, because that's not what it's for. Like, we're not trying to create a platform, but I'm sure even there might be other podcasters starting up watching this, and like they probably see eye to eye that it's not just about doing it just for sake of views or whatever it may be. Like, it's just good to have these conversations.
Yes, like, 100%. I think conversations in general are just healthy.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
because we talk a lot of psychology stuff.
Yes.
And we will mention you're a psychology student.
Yes.
And I'm an internet. What do they call them? There's a phrase for it where people are just like internet something, where they know a lot about what goes on the internet.
Yeah, because it was probably in the last year and a half, 2 years, that this is when Andy and I really started to have deep conversations about psychology.
Yeah.
Because in our friendship group, our main friendship group, like, I'm the only psychology student. Like, you know, everyone finds it interesting, but like, I've never really had those nitty-gritty, intense conversations about some of the points.
Yeah.
So it was really good when Andy started picking up and doing his own research in his spare time, because he became an enthusiast about psychology.
Enthusiast is a good way to put it.
Yeah, but
I do find it very, very interesting. And I know you do too. And I think a lot of our conversations will probably deviate into a psychological area.
Yeah, I know. We can't help ourselves sometimes. Like,
but it's just, I think it's everywhere. That's one thing I've noticed with learning psychology, or at least looking into it. It's almost like I can't take the lenses off.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's a term for that.
Like, I think that's a good way to describe it, because a lot of psychology students, the first thing they say in psychology when you learn at uni is like, oh, don't start diagnosing people you see, going up to them and going like, oh, I think you might be depressed.
Yeah.
Like, that's not healthy. Like,
to a degree, I can't help it.
I know. Yeah, I know.
It's weird. It's like learning. It's like learning learning behind the curtains type thing. It's like
yeah.
before you were blissfully unaware, and now you're a little bit aware, and just that little bit of awareness kind of just changes the way you look at people.
Yeah, I know. You kind of go like, oh, hang on. The reason you said that phrase is maybe because of A, B, and C. Like you start to kind of find pinpoints and similarities in these kind of cases. But anyway, we're not going to go into a psychological evaluation on.
No, but we are. What are we going to talk about this? Well, what do you want to talk about this episode 1?
Episode 1. Well, we did talk about this earlier. Like there is actually a topic that because Andy actually did some research.
Well, back to the internet thing.
Yeah.
I just scour across the internet in my free time. It's probably too much free time. But
you get life, mate.
Yeah. I found myself well, I don't know how we even begin this. Well, I found myself in the trans subreddit. Just out of interest. Because like I have my views on it, but I don't want to set my views in stone. Like I'm very much that type of person.
Absolutely, like you're open to new thoughts and interpretations, and I think it's a really strong thing to have because
100%, I would agree, and I think part of the problem with whatever's going on with that debate is that both sides don't want to acknowledge either side.
Yeah,
and that's where I go. Okay, so I got to take a step to look, at least like explore it, and I did some exploring, and what I found was very interesting. But I don't know how to talk about it in a certain way that doesn't make me sound like I'm in trouble or put myself in trouble.
Yeah, it's because we have been talking about it for a while, just especially in the category. We talk a lot about mental illness, okay?
Yeah.
So we especially this is going back to psychology again, our favorite.
Funny how we end up there.
Yeah, yeah, that never happens. Whoa. But we always talk about especially depression and anxiety, and we talk about the links between these categories of groups, especially in the severe cases, okay? So then we look into it, and I don't know, and you brought up the you were talking to me about the Reddits one day.
Well, Reddit in general,
yeah.
So if we take a step back, Reddit in general is an interesting place.
Yeah.
It's very interesting if you're into psychology as well.
Oh my God.
Because it's a place for a lot of people to spill their problems.
Yeah.
Just to unload their problems in. And the thing is, this is what my view on the online world is. And I say online world because I think everyone uses that term, but nobody really dives into it. I look at it like there's countries in the online world, and in those countries there's states, and then there's cities, and they all have their own rules, their own values, their own beliefs, their own weird things.
Yeah.
And they kind of function within themselves. And Reddit, I think, is like a huge example of that.
Yeah, it is.
It's like you can get one view, you can get totally different views from different areas of Reddit. It's almost like if you're somebody who's right-leaning, like politically speaking, on the right, and you're using Reddit, you're almost using a different website to somebody who's on the left-leaning. Even though it's the same website, you're just seeing different content. And I would go for like all social medias. So it's kind of like, and it's definitely an echo chamber. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, I think that's the most toxic part about it, though.
Yeah.
Like, not always. Like, but the trouble is, I've only seen when I've gone on Reddit, I've only seen like negative posts. Like, as you said, echo chamber, where people have posted about maybe a kink or.
But like echo chambers. I don't even know if it's the right. I think it's the right.
It's on the right track. I think.
Yeah.
I think it's on the right track to what we're trying to get across. Like the idea that you can go to a site with this belief that maybe in the eyes of the social norm it's not considered right or politically correct, and then you just literally have people that go to this page as well, wanting to post the exact same thing, and then they'll up your vote and they'll like it or whatever you do on Reddit. I'm not really familiar with Reddit. I try and stay off personally.
Well, that's the interesting thing about you and I, is that, like, we're both 23, so we're in this weird gap of, like, what do they call it, the iGen, the internet gen. And I think both you and I scraped by missing it, but more so you than me. Like, I think I'm much more in the internet gen than you are.
Yeah.
But then I've met people who are younger than me who are even more in the internet gen.
I know.
And it's like, oh, it's a scary thing, because I'm like, but anyway, back to the topic of transgender.
Yeah, but I will, before we go back to that straight away, I will say,
Okay.
like, I just will say, like, it is interesting how we kind of, because you think 23, you think both of us are 23, so we're not like, we're on the younger side, so we actually grew up technically with this change. Or at least I think
Yes.
evolutionary change, or revolutionary change in technology, I should say.
I think I was on the brink of it, because I remember Facebook coming out when I was 12, and I remember asking my parents to get Facebook, and they said, "Well, it says not until you're 13, so you're gonna have to wait until you're 13." I'm like, fair enough. Waited till I was 13, then got it. I think I had it before, actually.
Yeah, but it wasn't a big thing. Like,
No, I think it was. Looking back, Facebook was huge from where I was. I remember people like, it was like,
I think that's again that internet background we both had. Like, so I
Okay.
was pretty like my older brothers, like, they were sporty, so they were always going like, "Oh, get off the computer or get off this. Like, let's go play cricket in the backyard." Like, it was always trying to get me away from doing stuff on the internet, not just the internet, but like technology in general, games, because I was into games when I was younger.
Yeah, I was a bit.
So I didn't kind of grow up with it as much.
Did
I
you
guess.
go on any of the previous social medias, like MSN? What was the other one?
No, my oldest brother had MSN, but I never used it. No,
You never had MSN. What's the other one?
I think I used the school email when I was talking to people from primary school.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
Yeah, like I was really like
What
completely
was the other one that was in MSN?
MSN.
There was another one that was just as famous, and then
I thought
Facebook.
it was just MSN.
No, it was MSN and MySpace.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's the one. Yeah,
And then they both got dominated by Facebook.
yeah. Facebook was took over at that point. They came flying through. But for me, it was the change when I think it was year 7. I got my first iPhone.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, I got the Facebook app, I had Messenger, and that's when I started to go like, oh shit, I can talk to anyone, anytime, do this and that. Like, I got so much access on my phone. So we kind of grew up with it slowly getting better and better.
We got to see it change over the years.
Yeah, and like.
Yes, and I think the difference between us and more older people is they had to adapt, whereas we just kind of went with it.
We kind of grew up with it, yeah.
Yeah, we grew up with it, and we kind of adapt. Like, I'm out of the sphere now. Like, TikTok, I'm not in, and being real, I'm not in.
We're
out of that.
We're out of it.
But that happens. That's a weird thing about it as well. I don't know how it's gonna happen. Like, I don't know how it's gonna, how things are gonna play out for the current generation when they get to our age, and their like whole lives are orientated around their social media.
But that's why you're probably wondering why the hell are these two guys talking about fucking growing up with the internet stuff, because or at least I think that it's actually been it's making huge impacts for the good or worse on people growing up.
Yes, and that's probably what we talk about in general.
Yeah,
when we talk psychology, is just what the hell's going on the internet.
Because like we said, we grew up with it. It was changing over time. Like, we never had it when it was at its best, I guess.
When was its best?
See, that's when I kind of go like, oh, like, because I really I had all the stuff, but I didn't use it until probably like year 12. That's when I really like, we're playing some Clash of Clans, Clash Royale on their phones and stuff. Like, that's when I was really like using my phone like so much.
Yeah.
But then you look back at year 7s when we were in year 12.
Yeah.
And they have iPads in year 7. We didn't have iPads in year 7. They got laptops in year 8. We got laptops in like year 10.
Yeah.
Like, I guess we were like kind of like a bit delayed with all that.
Yeah.
And then at lunchtime, they're on their iPads using them 24/7.
Talking about lunch, I remember we weren't allowed our phones at lunchtime at one point.
Yes.
Which I don't know what the rules are now in high school.
Oh, you'd allow your phone. They'd allow the phones.
100%.
God. But even if they said no, they'll still take them out. Like,
that's what they would like with us, because I would still get them out. But
cool.
It's cool.
It's cool.
But so like the whole internet sphere, yeah, we find it very interesting. That's probably where most of our conversations come from. Especially because it's like I pretty much relay information to you, and then I hear your response, and then we go from there. Because it's like, that's actually what I wanted to do today with it. Because when I was in the trans subreddit, I screenshotted a lot of the things that I found, I guess, interesting as a work. and what I came out of it was, I think, and this is like, again, this is just a guess from a guy that doesn't know much.
Everything we talk about here is just our opinion, and
I doubt it's solid, or I doubt it's based in anything, but it might be an interesting view. I can't help but think that the people that I think they're definitely suffering from something. I think you have to treat them as people that are suffering. I think that's first and foremost an axiom that you have to take on, no matter what your views are on it.
okay,
And I think if you can't agree on that, then it's going to be very hard to go from there.
yeah.
Like, I think that's
I get what you're saying. I think the pushback from that is people immediately like, well, at least first thing that will come to mind on a general person will be like, oh, you think they all have an issue or a problem?
Yeah, so that's where it's like,
That's when you get pushback.
And my answer to that would be no, but you have to treat it as an individual. Like, it's like each person is an individual person suffering from a plethora of things, because I think everybody is suffering from a lot of things. Like, it's not like
in this day and age, I would 100% agree.
Yes, and I think it comes down to the individual whether or not whatever treatment they get is the best for them. But in a group mentality, and that's what Reddit is, in the group mentality, can't help but think, just as an axiom, that there's some suffering going on. And then you can, like, reading the posts, and the thing with the posts that I do is I don't filter by hot or trending, because when I filtered by trending, you'd see the face of this subreddit. You'd see the thin layer at the top. Instead, I searched by new and I scroll down, and I'd recommend for anybody who wants to come up with their own views on what's going on with this whole trans LGBT thing. I think the best place to go is to go to Reddit, search up trans, go to the community, filter by new, and just make up your own opinion on what you read. I think that's...
Okay, I find that very interesting, and I do agree to a point.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's going to be like, just because when you go to Reddit, like these individuals that are going to Reddit, like this is not every trans person does this hypothetically. I don't know.
Yes.
I don't. I'm not understanding how many users use Reddit, because for one, I have Reddit, but I rarely use it, because every time I go on, I do actually feel immediately flattened by some of the comments.
Yeah.
But maybe that's because studying psychology. Like, I don't know. But assuming that people, if they read all those comments, they go, okay, shit, this community's in a lot of jeopardy. All these people are suffering. Like, it might not always be the case. Like, I think it could be a good stepping stone, but I would urge viewers to be careful to put a bit of grain of salt with it.
Well, the thing with the Reddit subreddit is, I 100% agree. Like, it's, what is it, survivor's guilt? Like, you only see what you see on Reddit, and there could be something in the background of even Reddit in the trans community that you don't see. Like, that could be 1% of the whole community, and 99% of them are fine and happy. And
hypothetically. I doubt it's that extreme, but but you know, yeah.
Which is like, I agree, but where do we get our information from? And I can't see any other source of information on for the average person. And I would say there's a lot of celebration in that community. In fact, that's what people are striving for. So I noticed a lot of people would post asking for validation. And I use that term in air quotes because that's what they ask for. They need validation. Like, people would post, and because I'd look at their users, they post once a week and they go, I'm feeling really down, I need validation, and post a selfie. And then people would validate them by what gender they identified in. And I don't know how I feel about that, because on one hand you could go, it's actually really good, it's helping with their mental health, that they've got a community that they can go to once a week when they're feeling down.
That's true, and when it's phrased like that, you immediately think, oh, that's really good, it's great to have that tool, but then
what I found was that's 1%. So there's actually a lot of people that post and never get a like, never get a comment, never get any attention. And it's generally, and this is probably where the harshness comes in, it's generally the ones that are convincing, so they look like the other gender the gender they identify as.
Yep.
Or they're attractive, so they're just physically attractive, whether or not they're a boy or a girl or a man or a woman. But it's the ones that aren't, that don't get any attention. And they're the ones that worry me.
Yeah.
And I would say, and this is a guess, I would say they're the majority. Because on the face value, you could go on the trans subreddit and look at the trending, and you could assume by just that everything's fine and that they're all happy. And then it's as soon as I found when you search by new and you read,
the real comments. One's posted 5 minutes ago, an
Yeah.
hour ago, and they
a
got
couple
nothing.
days ago,
and they got nothing.
and it's really like it's a lot.
Yeah.
And then every now and then somebody would get a comment, and the comments would always be, well, not always. The comments would be very much, because they're all in that community was the answer to their problems.
Do you have any comments like?
I do, but I'll have to look through them to find one that's like worth talking about, because there a lot of them are,
Yeah, okay.
they scrape the surface of maybe alarming or not alarming, but then there's a lot of just straight up alarming. Like,
Oh, can you give me an example off the top of your head, like, what?
of an alarming one?
Yeah, of an alarming, I suppose, or maybe not so alarming, like one that's on the edge, like
One that's on the edge. All right. So this one will probably spark debate. It's probably more on the alarming side. I found a lot of people when they transitioned, or they made some sort of transition in their identity, and then the people around them didn't end up supporting it. So family members particularly, usually parents particularly as well.
And that would be very heart-wrenching. That would be devastating.
For the parents or for the kid?
For the kid, especially when you want to have this, when you've had this epiphany, you want to have this change, and you say, "Oh, I'm a woman,"
Yeah.
and your parents that have raised you, and they don't support you. That can be quite.
Yeah.
Of course, you turn to a community and be like, "Look, I need support and
Yeah.
I need help." So, what was the comments from like?
The comments from that, and I don't know to what degree in terms of percentage, but enough were saying that you should look at leaving your family. You should abandon and cut away from your family. And I took screenshots for examples of that. And that was where I started thinking, okay, and this would be a post that was one paragraph long. Like, that's all you knew about the person. And people were responding like, these are toxic, bigoted parents, and you should be like, you should be. And a lot of them were children, and it's like, it's unfortunate. They said it's unfortunate that you're under 18, but as soon as you turn 18, you should be looking at leaving. Like, you should be cutting away from people that don't.
Yeah, and that's. I see. I don't agree with that. That's not it's not a healthy way to go about it, unless. But I can tell when you're trying to get out there. Like, they wrote a paragraph about their situation. They're giving you a little snippet, a little crumb
of their life,
of what they're talking about, and then people in this community, obviously, maybe they're trans as well, and they're immediately going like, "Oh, I know what they're talking about." No, yeah, you just got to get out of there, get the shit, because they're projecting probably a situation where maybe the family's completely toxic, they're bigots and blah blah. But that might not be the case. It might just be a mum going like, "Oh, this is too much. Oh, I don't think I can support this." Like, because they're quite overwhelmed as well. Like, but we don't know. That's the thing. We don't know.
Well, yeah, you don't know, and that's that. Taking from that was the most scary thing about the whole Reddit, was because people would post a snippet of their life, a crumb of their life, like you said, and people would provide them with advice, and the advice was so extreme. And that's where I was going like, I would often post, and this is where it gets into what I did with it. I would post on posts like that, "Look, it sounds like you're in trouble. It sounds like you need help. It sounds like you're in a bit of a situation. I don't think these people commenting on your post are going to help you. I don't think they know enough about your life." And then the responses I would get would be,
"Yeah, I couldn't see the responses going well."
Well, I'd get banned and deleted immediately. But before that, people would have the response of somewhere between the lines of, they understand them more. Like, there's some sort of, since they're both from the same community, they understand just off the bat.
Okay. And I can only agree with that to a sense. Like, I can understand, like, you go like, "Look, I have depression, so my friend's depressed. I understand where they're coming from more." And I go, you know what? I go, "You're right. You probably do understand more, but that doesn't exactly give you a complete entitlement to take over the driver's seat and go like, no, I'll take it from here." Because if you got a depressed person to take over a meeting and help other depressed people, like, I don't think that's really a healthy idea, because you got someone that's potentially going to make everyone feel worse because they're also depressed. If that makes sense, like,
but
not to say that that's like what would happen, but I just think it's good to have external viewpoints as well.
yeah, but you need a lot of information. I would guess. Not studying psychology, but you would need a lot of information to help somebody.
Online enthusiast.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to put it. Online enthusiast. But I would assume
Very professional.
I would assume that you'd need a lot of information to help somebody. And like back to Reddit, like in the broader sense, I think that's happening in all communities, not just the trans.
Absolutely. No, that's right.
I would 100%.
And I think that's a major issue.
Yeah.
And there'll probably be heaps of people that agree, but that's why we're here. No one talks about it.
Yeah.
No one talks about it.
And I would advocate for anybody who doesn't know how to think about what we're saying, they don't know whether or not they agree or they disagree or that whatever their views are, I would advocate for them to go onto Reddit and look themselves.
Yeah.
I would advise everybody to come to their own opinion. And that's where coming to your own opinion, I think everyone has a right to come to their own opinion at the pace that they feel necessary. And that's where I've got a little problem with society at the moment, whereas like at work, for example, they want you to say their pronouns. And I haven't yet come to the conclusion that by saying their pronouns, I'm helping.
Yes.
Like that's something that I reckon will take me another 5 years to come to the conclusion on. And I'm happy to land either way, honestly. And that's being genuine. If it ends up in 5 years that the data just suggests and it proves that these transitions, the therapy that they're given is actually helping them, I'd probably be an advocate for it. Maybe pushing 5 to 10 years. I would need to wait for that long to see how this, and air quotes again, experiment runs. Because I think it's something that it's such a large thing that's happened so suddenly that we don't know what the results are going to be like until about 5 to 10 years.
No, and you're exactly right. Like the only time I really, in my studies, was when I found out about Jordan Peterson, which is, I think he's a quite an extraordinary man.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I like him.
God, some of the videos you just think like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But a good example why I bring up him is he had the similar issue in America with pronouns. He got fired from the university because he wouldn't call students by their pronouns.
Yeah.
And I still don't quite agree with that. I understand where the university was coming from. They want everyone to feel comfortable on a campus. And I understand where you're coming from too. And I do agree that there isn't enough information to support the idea that giving people the ability to say, no, you have to call me by this pronoun, or you have to address me as this or this, will benefit their mental health, especially these groups that are forming.
Yeah. That
are kind of creating their own rules, like on a Reddit page, they're creating their own rules, their social beliefs, and if you push against that, if you don't 100% agree,
you're ostracized.
Yes, and I think that's just a poor. Like human beings are so interesting. We are all so different. The fact that two people can sit in a room and have a conversation and they have completely radical different views about society. One person could believe, working 5 days a week, that's incredible. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I have a kids, family, and someone else going like, I don't want to work a single day in my life.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather just be off Centrelink and scraping by.
Yeah.
Like that's extreme examples there, but
you've got two,
But you got two situations where people will talk to each other and they'll collide and they might even learn something off each other that's maybe opening their interpretation.
Yeah.
And that's something we can't afford to lose in society. We can't afford to lose it.
But I like to think the reason I got to where I was on the trans debate about hold on, don't force me to make a decision when I'm not yet ready to make a decision is simply I've already lost my train of thought, but it was
Sorry, that was me. I went on a tangent there for a minute.
No, that's fine.
Even I don't know where I was going.
No, when I first started this, I'm like, oh man, I just lost my train of thought. The reason I got to where I got, I've actually forgotten. Oh, but the reason I got to where I got is because I think in like big picture type mentality. In a lot of ways, it plays to a disadvantage, but in a lot of ways, it plays to an advantage. Yep. So let's assume that we call these people by their pronouns and we all advocate for it and we all support them.
Yep, okay.
And then 5-10 years down later, we find out that what they were dealing with wasn't actually the treatment we were giving them wasn't the treatment for the problem that they had, and that the
And
treatment.
this is a big thing because we look at past history on, and yet, like they thought lobotomizing, another extreme point, they thought
Yeah.
lobotomizing was a good way to deal with an intense mental patient suffering from maybe schizophrenia because then
Yeah.
it made them more malleable, more easy to move, and then but they were actually just completely potatoes. They were brain dead,
Yeah.
practically.
And I would say, what if the problem what if we diagnose a problem as the wrong thing, and then not only that, we're treating it wrong, and then in 10 years from now,
Yeah, we
find-
realize,
but worse than that, we find an answer to their problems. That maybe that, like, what happens then? What happens when we've got an answer to, we're wrong about the problem, wrong about the treatment, and then we get the answer to the problem and we get the answer to the treatment.
I don't even think there is like a plan for of a treatment. I think it's just this community has risen. It's probably since about 2016 it really started to get motion. At least in my
Yeah.
opinion.
I would say
like
COVID lockdowns just accelerated it.
that made it so much quicker.
Yeah.
Wow. Going to uni at the moment, it's quite eye opening. Like on one hand, I think this is incredible. Like all these communities, everyone's coming out, everyone's just embracing blah blah. But then, funny enough, I'll tell you a quick story. A girl came up to me and she said, "Oh, here, can you please? I got a T-shirt and a sticker that has your pronouns. Like, what pronoun would you like to wear?"
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, thanks. I'll take the shirt, but I won't put the sticker on."
Mm.
And then she immediately jumped and said to me, "Do you not support pronouns and all that in these communities?" And I was like, "Oh, well, no, I just don't really feel necessary to put the sticker on."
Yeah.
It was just that little pushback that I had. Like she saw that immediately as like I guess not threatening, but like
It was
it was opposing. I guess like it was just the fact that I said no, thank you.
But how many people would pick up on that and just go with it? It's like, oh yeah, I'm he, him. And it's like, oh good, all right, I'm happy. Next. It's like it's almost like it's not initiating, but it's like, come join me, come join what I'm doing, come join my worldview, my way of looking at the world. And if you don't, like it's
like going like, wait, hang on, everyone else is agreeing. Why aren't you putting this sticker on? It was really like I didn't think it was a big deal. Like it's not that I was going like I even just said like I was really going, wow, this is really great. Everyone's out, everyone's happy. The song playing, everyone's supporting each other. Different people were talking to each other.
Yeah.
And the day was great. But as soon as I said no, just to a simple little sticker showing that I am in 100% complete support in a way, it was kind of like, and then.
But like what I
It was
get.
funny. She went back to the stand. She had the stickers, and I remember she kept glancing at me when I was walking around talking to people, like kind of looking at me like, oh, why is he still here? It was weird. It was weird. I just remember thinking like, wow, that is very strange. That's like someone coming up to you and going like, hey, do you want to buy like what are they called in like shopping centers? You know, the little stalls, and they got like. Yeah, oh, do you want to buy these paintball tickets or blah, blah. They're trying to sell you something. They're trying to sell you something. And you're like, oh no, thanks. It was like one of those people, and they're just but instead they were just completely offended. Like, hey, how dare you?
Yeah,
You should
be
buy.
Like that's a good example. It's like let's say like you've got a chat like the charities at the front of the stores.
Yeah.
And they'll like offer a voucher or they'll offer a raffle.
So like, do you want to buy a ticket or?
Yeah.
And you're like, no,
$5, $10, and 90% of people say no.
Mm.
But imagine if we like started judging them based on
saying going no. Like, oh, you don't support charity.
Yeah, you're a dickhead.
Maybe we should do that. We might make a bit of money.
Yeah, maybe.
For the charity, not for us. Not for us.
For the podcast charity. But it is that group mentality. I think I can't help but think people don't care about the individuals as much as they care about whatever this group represents.
That's right,
and that's scary.
And that's just it's just not okay. Not okay for me personally. Like,
especially when you're scrutinizing an individual. So if you come out, so if like let's say this conversation was like, imagine it blew up and we got 1 million views, and like 90% of people thought,
"Could we please make that hypothetical come true?" No.
But like, we'd get cancelled. We could potentially get cancelled off what we're saying.
I think we wouldn't even get past 100 views. I think with this.
But that's the thing. Us as individuals would get cancelled. So the group would jump on us, and this happens on the internet every day. Like a group would jump on an individual. So it's not group versus group, it's group versus individual. And that's where it gets really scary for me, because it's like, why is it okay when you're a group to morally discount an individual?
And that's exactly right. Like, just say we were a part of a community group, or advocating for, like, what's a good example? Like, maybe we
Like a good example
of us, going into like joining one of these groups, I suppose, and then you're like, just say we joined a charity, I guess,
yeah,
and like that's like us walking down the street and going like, and like maybe telling people off like, oh, you don't do charitable work like us, like
yeah.
like, and that scrutinizing them and making them feel.
But
But because we're a group of charity workers, that we can scrutinize an individual because,
Yeah.
like, you're not doing it though.
and you're standing on top of the idea that you're a part of a charity. You're a group. Like the pedestal you stand on is a group, and they stand on this pedestal of LGBTQ, and it's like they
Plus,
But that's the thing. It's a privilege. But anyway, but
Yeah.
they stand on this pedestal and they look down on you, and it's like, no, we're both individuals. Get rid of the pedestal, and then we'll talk. That's how I look at it.
and I think that's a fair justification. Like, if you want to have a conversation, if you believe that we're completely wrong, like, or if you look at me and you go like, this guy is a bigot, arrogant piece of shit, like, genuinely, like, I can tell people like think that when I displace, like, or maybe there might be a mental health issue we need to address here.
Yeah, and you can't say there's not, because there's the overlap of mental illness and these. You can't tell what causes which, and they say like people post transition, they come out and their mental health is just, it takes an absolute what's a positive word? It ends up being great. Like, it's great for them, great for their mental health, great for their overall life. It's just, and I think it's like 99% the statistic gets thrown around, and I go,
Yeah, wait,
I see the thing is, when on the Reddit, there's heaps of statistics that get thrown around that contradict each other, and there's a lot of internal contradictions, and there's a lot of people that don't agree with it inside the actual Reddit.
How interesting.
I know, it's like, in a weird way, they're going to implode because there's so many internal contradictions.
It's like, it's not to say like you can't do some research and go like, oh look, I found these statistics, I'm going to use them when I argue, but it's just don't just start throwing around and like maybe amplifying or exaggerating statistics like, oh no, this statistic's foolproof because I saw it on this Wikipedia site, like, like,
Yeah.
so you can't argue against me. It's like no, well, I can, for one, as an individual, and two, if I've got some interesting points that are worth discussing. But how do you justify what's valid and what's not valid? And that's the problem with today's society. It's either you agree or it's not valid.
That's why I start with That's why I start with the axiom that these people are suffering from something, like whether or not it's gender dysphoria that needs to be treated with a gender affirming care, or if it's something else. Like, I start on the basis that this person's in trouble. They're suffering from something, and they want it alleviated the best way possible.
And the trouble is, sorry to interrupt you, but there's this even getting a general counselling service, at least where we are in Australia, like it's like a 3 to 4 month wait.
Yeah.
For a consultation session. So a consultation is more like you just meet, get to know the counsellor or psychologist you're with. They ask where you're from, blah, what's brought you in. Like, you don't really go into the nitty gritty of your problems. It's more of like an orientation week at school. Like,
Yes.
which is interesting. And then people go like, oh yeah, but that's just because of COVID. And I go, no, but I think there's much more there. Like, COVID's like amplified it, yes.
COVID put us on the internet, and when we were on the internet, I would say COVID put us all on the internet.
Especially Zoom and all that for work companies. Everyone was online working. You're right. Everyone was put on.
Everyone expressed themselves in social settings online because that's the only medium they had. And I think when people are online, they're different people. Like, they express themselves totally and radically different than in person.
And interesting enough, I believe that the more constantly you are online, you start to develop this online personality.
Do you think it like leaks into your real life personality? Like,
it potentially can,
overlaps?
yes. I think it potentially can. But if you're more, I guess, more, what's the word? I guess more standoffish online and like more aggressive maybe and stuff. Like, I don't think that will leak completely into your normal life.
I'm afraid it will.
But I think it does.
I think it might. I think there's overlap. I think it really depends on the person.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people have an online persona that most people don't get to see, that at any point that could just crack open.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid it does. Like, I'm afraid that, like, there's this thing brewing in the internet that the common person doesn't know about. They're just going about their day in real life. And there's this other society, imaginary little society, that people go online and they brew these views, these beliefs, these ideas, these personas. And that one day these personas are going to come out into real life and the world's going to flip upside down. Like,
yeah.
Because people are just so different. Like, you just play Call of Duty. I've been playing Warzone, and like,
sorry, this is sponsored by Warzone 2.0. This podcast. Yeah. Thank you, Activision, for letting us.
We need some wins, but
if you could donate, please.
Like how aggressive people are online, and look, I'm not saying like
I'd say 90% aggressive, 10% the odd bunch you run into, and they're just like.
But it's so much easier to be aggressive online.
It is.
There's almost like it's like.
To tell you what, no consequence.
Do you reckon it's no consequence?
No consequence. I'm telling you right now. You start yelling in your mic online, like, what's going to happen? Is that guy going to come to your front door and want to bash you? No. If I did that out in the street, like some guy walking past, and I'm just like, oh, where the fuck are you going? You fuckwit, like, you can't play shit. Like, you know, he'd probably turn around, he'd probably start shoving me or maybe take a swing at me, like, online.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? They don't know who you are, where you're from. All they have is that ID name that's completely made up. Like,
yeah,
I think it's no consequence. I do.
But what does that say about morality then? So if you take consequences away from humans, they treat each other like, well, in large part, like shit. Like
they do. Yes.
So that's like,
and even that seems pretty dark, and that's when you kind of go to Jung, which we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
We won't get into him today.
What?
No.
No, I think it's more Nietzsche. I was thinking Nietzsche said something like, most morality is just cowardliness, and that people aren't moral, they're just afraid of consequences.
Yeah, well.
Which is
and that's a deep quote. It's a deep quote.
It's very paraphrased. He said it way better.
Oh, yeah, but you're not him, are you?
Oh, I like always I am, you know. It's no biggie.
It's not biggie, but but they probably don't even know what we're talking about. No. Nietzsche and Jung, they're just like, they were two very famous psychologists. They said a lot of interesting things. Anyway, pushing them aside.
They're useless.
They're useless. Yeah, they didn't know what they were talking about. Don't crack up.
Oh, well, Freud was on coke. He loved his coke.
Oh, but he was a sex pest, Freud. Like,
yeah, I love him. I know, do you know, wait, I will say this just before. I didn't know Jung was a sex pest. He fucked his clients.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know about his personal life at all.
Oh, I listened to one of his Audible books and some of his writings and stuff. Like
I listened to his.
Yeah, they were nasty.
No, I watched a movie. I thought there was this movie that they did. It was like really dramatized.
Oh, I bet it
was. It was an interesting movie. It was pretty shit. But
make sure you come back to that. I want to talk about another movie I watched.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Well, I didn't know he fucked his clients. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Oh, it was. Yeah.
I mean, like. The first few psychologists, what are you gonna do? Like,
oh, they had an attractive client come in. They're in a mental. No, but I'm being genuine. Like in a mental vulnerability, as bad as it sounds, like this definitely would have happened. Like,
yeah.
You know, luckily we're in a society where there is a lot more. There's plenty of consequence. You should, if you have time, look up the Wall of Shame.
Mm-hmm.
It has every single counselor and
heard about this.
Every psychologist and counselor that's done something wrong or illegal with a client, or maybe they've impersonated it as a counselor or a psychologist. They are put up their name, number, address, so you know that. So if you just say you get a psychologist, like you can actually, if you look them up on the Wall of Shame and they're not there, then you know that they're actually like. Not impersonators or something.
Okay.
But that's very rare. Like, that's in this day and age of technology, we're not going to be.
Well, they're the only ones you hear about. What is it again? Survivor's guilt.
Yeah, that's right. Like...
If you're going to do it, you're going to be sneaky about it. I think we'll pause it there just because we have a builder coming in. But, all right, we'll be back. Just with an ad break, you know, whatever.
Yeah, sorry, we've got another sponsor coming.
There'll probably be a couple ad breaks.
Sorry, there's a couple. Here comes paparazzi.
All right, we'll be back.
Okay.
What were we talking about?
What were we doing? Oh, you're right there?
Yes.
Fuck, your fat ass is fucking breaking that bed.
It's out of my dildo.
Lucky.
Lucky. No, lucky you didn't go in. All right. Anyway,
while we're recording shit,
we'll scrap that.
we'll cut it. Oh, we'll see.
All right.
Okay. So we're talking about psychology-related issues and films, and we mentioned Jung, and so we're going to steer clear of that. We're going to go back to what we were kind of discussing.
Kind of keyword.
Loosely discussing.
What were we discussing?
Yeah, about transgenders, subreddits, how there's kind of a bit of a social group formation, I guess, like in terms of people attacking individuals because that their social group isn't agreed with completely.
And standing on that social group as if they're more moral.
Yeah, that's right. And it's kind of like, well, okay, and that's where that phrase comes in. What's it called when you think you're morally better than someone? Like woke people, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Woke. The woke is the term. I don't know if they use it that much anymore.
I think a little bit. Like I do see people like go like, oh, they're like, you know, other podcasters going like, oh, they're like a woke. It's like a woke group.
Yeah.
Of people but they use it in a term like kind of more a disgrace term, like, oh, they think they're woke. Yeah. Like, you know. But I just think that's really interesting how there's kind of like that. I just think it's very wrong. It's just very wrong, isn't it? Like, just the idea that an individual doesn't have a say because they're not a part of a social group with their own beliefs and foundations already.
Yes.
Which is where we sit as well. Like, we're not really in any group, I guess.
No, I wouldn't say I am.
No.
I'm pretty like, I'm not too political. Although, like, I find politics interesting. I don't like sitting myself in on any wave of the spectrum. Whoa.
Yeah, just make it better for you.
They're gonna hear all that moving. No,
Whoa.
Don't touch it. That's expensive.
That's gonna break. That $10 mic's gonna be broken.
It's not $10.
$15.
It was on special. The quality doesn't change, but the money does. It's good.
Anyway.
What
you got in your hand there? Like,
I'll get rid of that.
Oh, thank you. It's just distracting me. Yeah. Was that your dildo case?
Yes, it's a big one.
It was a very small case.
No.
That's what it's like to the naked eye.
It feels a lot bigger. That's how it feels, not what it looks like.
Yes.
But
I don't know my dildos much.
I can give
you give you an education. Give you a lesson.
I was gonna let you borrow it.
Well, it'd be probably safer if I used it here, like safe environment.
You don't want to hurt
The
yourself.
teacher.
You don't want to hurt yourself. All right, no. So group mentality is bad.
Yeah. So we had to make a bit of a move because when we were doing the recording,
Paparazzi.
Yeah, they just swarmed us out of nowhere.
Again.
They came parachuting in the backyard.
Some of them did.
Yeah. I couldn't tell how many there were.
I couldn't count. I can't count.
Too busy running.
Too busy running away from them. You'll probably see the photos uploaded soon. They're probably already uploaded all the.
Oh, dude. Everything that's already happened, we're like the last to report it.
We're going to be famous and we won't even know. Did you hear about the hard hitting podcast?
Yeah, fucking both been taken off. Yeah.
They're more popular than Joe Rogan.
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding? We're not even gonna know those people. Who the fuck's Joe Rogan?
No, I don't know. We can have him on our podcast. I don't know.
You have to pay us a bit, I think.
Just a little.
It's not easy.
Yeah. He's gonna have all our viewers though. That's the thing. When we have a podcast with him, then all our viewers might like him more than us.
Shit, that's too risky. Safe thing to do is just get no one on our podcast.
Just keep it between us.
Yeah, and don't even post our videos. No. Don't tell anybody. Keep it a secret.
Yes. We only privately message people. That's how we'll distribute it. We won't make it public. So we'll privately message everybody.
Yes.
And make them think that they're the only ones listening. Yes.
We're gonna be millionaires.
Overnight. Like, imagine this, right? So
okay, please, break it down because I need.
We're gonna have to find a way to message everybody.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
So everybody's on Facebook?
No. What if we make our own platform where people can like become friends?
Yes.
And they can message people.
And to use their platform, they have to listen to the podcast.
Yeah. Like every second Well,
every day, once a day.
They have to. Yeah, but they, even if they heard it before, they have to
Yeah.
re-listen to it.
And then they have to like do questionnaires just to make sure that they listen. Because people can just leave it on.
That's true.
So,
We had to make sure they knew
They-
what was Andy's belief in sentence 3 of the podcast.
Or we could say, we could put in like catchwords in between. So I'll say penguin, right?
Yes, right.
So then only the people that knew I said penguin, no, like we're watching and listening.
Right.
Genius.
This is.
This is money
I
right
don't know
here.
how no one else has thought of this.
Because we're doing the podcast for money, as we established at the start.
Absolutely. Well, I'm planning to be. I've already quit my job, so
You have.
yeah. So and you're going to be quitting yours like tomorrow.
Yeah, we could guilt them into paying us.
Yes.
Because you're
yes.
jobless.
Yeah, you guys should feel terrible. Like I'm going to be on the street soon. So
Yeah.
like,
And we'll still be doing a podcast even if
with this $15 mic apparently.
15. Wow.
It was on sale.
It wasn't. Alright. No, we deviated.
We
Have we?
have we? No, but we did have to have a move where we were doing our podcast just because there was too much noise. We kind of lost
We had a
track.
good flow though.
We did have a good flow.
It was very hard to get back to that.
We've completely lost our flow. We completely lost our flow. We have
Can we
ultra
wrap up?
serious-
No, like not even asking should we wrap up, but do we have the ability to wrap this up?
Wrap this up.
don't know.
Not properly, but I guess we can try and summarize what we even talked about. Okay.
Alright, we'll start from the start.
Oh, I guess okay. Yeah. What we talked about at the start.
We talked about why we're doing podcasting.
Okay. Well, what did we say?
Fuck it, why not? I think that was the mentality.
Yeah, it's true.
And
That's
that's
true.
good.
It's a good summary.
And I think that everyone's going to have that mentality. So we've got to be different. So instead of fuck it, why not? We're helping people.
We're helping.
Yes.
How?
They want to listen to us.
So I'm asking, like, as a public, pretend I'm like the public person. Like, how are you helping?
Like, how would I tell them to
Yeah,
come listen to us?
Yeah. No, yes, please.
We've got the answers. Like, you know how, like,
you remember we said this was an opinion-based show? We lied. It's actually all fact.
it's fact.
Everything we say,
Well,
don't take it with a grain of salt. Take it to the heart.
I think it's still opinion,
yeah,
but
okay.
we have the best opinion.
Yeah, no, but not like a pedestal type of way. It's just like there's no pedestal. Like we're level ground. It's just we
We're
are
taller.
slightly above.
We're taller than.
Yeah,
Metaphorically.
like a lot taller.
a lot taller.
A lot taller.
And
Yeah.
we're thinking things through probably better than
Faster, I think's the word.
faster. as well,
Yeah.
definitely.
More progressive, but
Yeah,
anyway.
the actual progression.
But that's all on an equal stance.
So, but we didn't really need to explicitly tell everyone. They probably picked that up just from this episode.
I think when they clicked on the video, they knew what they were signing up for.
Yeah.
I think they knew. Okay, yeah, okay.
Quality content, 100%. We should be charging per episode, really.
Yeah, I was like, what range though? Like, what's a good range for charge?
We'd do subscription based, I reckon. That's where you get the
Yeah.
most money.
Yeah.
Because here's what happens:
we-
people forget that they're even subscribed. Passive income. We don't even have to keep producing episodes.
Shit, that's true.
That's true. We can pretend to post episodes.
Maybe we should cut
And
this
how
out.
long-
Maybe we should cut this out of the editing because this is our master plan.
Yeah, we should.
Oh, we have a guest star.
Oh my god! What? The...
I want to know where my green speaker is.
Yeah, just...
You little turd.
It's my charger.
Price? Well, get your inside.
Oh, oh my god!
Well, that was embarrassing.
Oh my god!
You okay, man?
Now they know we're not famous. Shit. We're editing that out.
No, what?
What?
You're crazy.
No, it'll be funny. We'll keep it in.
Yeah, that'd be fine. No, anyway.
So that
If
was
anyone's even listened this far, they probably would, no, they wouldn't have even listened this far, so they wouldn't have even heard that. They wouldn't have heard that.
and that was our secretary.
Yes.
Yeah, our assistant.
Sorry, she's very she's new.
She didn't know.
We just hired.
Oh my god.
That's hilarious. Okay, well, to sum things up, like, going back to being serious, like, so we talked about a lot of things in terms of, like, just the idea that we believe that we should be promoting, I guess, like, individual thoughts instead of the majority thoughts.
Yes, and I want to be able to talk about the things that every other podcast bite their tongue on.
That's right. That's
like,
right.
I don't want to bite my tongue. And I would love to have guests. I'd love to see this through to the point where we can have guests. And I was thinking about this. I think we go online on these Reddit threads that we find interesting, and I'm not to pick on the trans, but any other thread as well. And we go, hey guys, we've got a podcast. It's not big. It's not anything. Literally anyone who wants to come on, let's come on. And we'll just Zoom them.
We could,
We'll put them on a Discord call and we'll just chat away.
Have a chat, yeah. I think
and wherever it goes, it goes.
I think that'll be a really good, like a really good thing, just to even just hear other points in the community, because you don't want to just hear just our opinion. Like
we could become an echo chamber.
Well, that's right. Like, and that's very true. Like, we could just be feeding each other, looking at posts and going like, oh, okay, yeah, this is where we're at, blah blah. But when we could talk to someone and go, wait, that's a really good point. We're completely fucking wrong in that. Well, not wrong, but like we go, oh shit.
We won't be wrong.
No. Sorry, I'm just saying.
Somebody might be a little bit right. But we won't be wrong.
I wouldn't even go that far. Anyway.
There'll be different opinions just to think about, just to prove. No, we'll get people on to prove how right we are.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we'll get somebody on who we'll find some baffling.
But they'll have to pay us to come on, obviously.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Not doing this for enjoyment,
No, not for the fans either.
God, fuck them.
Anybody that's listening.
I love how we keep talking about the fans, but we haven't even uploaded this video yet.
No, they're there.
Are they listening?
No, this computer right here is a symbolic representation of our fans.
And your secretary, she's a fan.
Yes.
And the secretary's assistant that was
yes, who was also there. But
yeah, no.
Fame just comes with things.
It does.
Eventually you post. Eventually you become famous.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Okay, well, I do want to say no. Thanks for anyone, the two people that might have listened to this. But no, I had a lot of fun. I can't speak for Randy, but I had a lot of fun making this. I'm glad we talked about it for a little bit, so I'm glad we finally just came together and just started recording.
And it can't get any worse.
Well, that's no.
No, genuinely.
Cut it off there. No.
We can only get better from here.
No, but you're right. Genuinely, yeah. We've got to find our footing on, kind of keep getting a bit more structure, I suppose. But I think for our first time, we did okay.
Yeah.
Let us know if you have any feedback or maybe even topics that you want us to discuss. But we'll be talking about anything. So yeah.
Critiques. I'd happily take critiques.
Yeah, critiques too. There you go. That's probably more what we need. Yes.
We're good. No, but I was happy with this. I really liked it. It's good just to be able to talk thoughts through, but then also know that there's you're saying something that's grounded in a podcast. It's you have to make sure you're framing it right. You make sure you're thinking it through. Although we probably weren't, but
I think we did okay. We did okay.
I think we did
maybe.
All right.
We could listen back and be like, "Holy shit, what the fuck are we talking about?" But no, I think we're okay. I think we did pretty well, all things considered.
We definitely deviated a little bit, but that's fine.
You got to get used to that. If you're watching this, you got to get used to that.
We're really nice guys as well. That's the best part.
Really
nice guys. We could find women to do this as well. I didn't even think about that.
Find what?
Women.
What?
We had to advertise ourselves through podcasts.
What do you think? We're a modeling agency? Or?
No, but modeling as
a podcast.
Imagine the girls listening and go, I really like the way he thinks.
Yeah, but as soon as we turn those face cams on.
No.
Oh my god.
No, there wouldn't be a single woman listening to this. I reckon we in a million years.
Oh, that's funny. No, but do you want to?
Should we put our phone numbers in?
Credit card. Next episode, credit card information will be given. First half. So then that's going to be a good tease.
We won't tell them. We won't do it at the start. Somewhere in the middle.
No, yeah. Then they're going to watch it. They're going to watch it all.
Forcing them. We're working this thing.
And then we're like, wait, where's all this money going?
All right.
I think we're definitely going to enter there. We are completely lost.
Yeah.
But nah, thanks so much for listening. No, shut up. We're done. No.
We had such a good flow at the middle.
We did. Oh god. But nah, this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for those that made it this far and listened, and hopefully we'll see you next week. Next week for our next one.
And as for the people that cut off about 5 minutes in.
5 minutes
fuck
in.
Them.
Yeah.
Honestly,
No, don't say that. Remember, we've got to keep the mentality. All right, now it's 10.
No, we don't want them.
No, we'll just. I know we don't. But we've got to just We gotta
Pretend.
we gotta pretend we like them. Yeah,
fuck 'em.
thank you so.
All right, thank you too.
All
That was
right,
great.
catch you guys later.